Oh man, these are all wet. If your dryer stopped drying your laundry, don't go buy a new dryer. I'm going to show you how you can fix it for as little as $30. First, make sure your dryer's unplugged. Then, you're going to want to remove the 9 1/4-inch screws from around the back. You can use this, or I've always wanted to give this a try. Whoa, it really worked. Next, you want to grab a multimeter and place it in the audible continuity setting and listen for that beep. All right, when you hear that beep, that means it's good and it's not broken. If you don't hear the beep, then it's broken and there's no continuity. Just a note, if you don't have an audible continuity setting, just switch it to the ohm setting. It's this picture of the horseshoe right here. And then if there's continuity, you should receive a reading. And if it doesn't have continuity, then it will remain OL like you see here on the screen. All right, next we're gonna take a picture of all of our wire hookups for our thermostat and fuses. That way we know exactly where to reattach them. All right, so just so that you guys know, I went ahead and labeled everything before we removed these wires. That way you can see exactly what we're working with. So this is going to be our thermal cutoff fuse. Then this is our heating element here. Then right here's our high limit thermostat. It usually cuts off at about 250 degrees. Then we have a thermal fuse right here. And then just below that, this is our cycling thermostat. Everything's labeled. That way you guys know exactly what we're talking about. First, let's test this high limit thermostat. So we're gonna go ahead and remove the wire there. We're gonna remove this wire down here. Okay, and let's go ahead and disconnect it from our heating element. Okay, all right, let's go ahead and test this high limit thermostat for continuity. All right, we got a beep, we know it's good. Next, we're gonna test the heating element. Let's go ahead and remove this wire and test for continuity. And it's good. So moving up, we're gonna test our thermal cutoff fuse. So let's go ahead and pull these wires off of our thermal cutoff fuse. And we're gonna go ahead and test that one for continuity. Uh-oh. No continuity there. So our thermal cutoff fuse is bad. So moving over to the left here, we have our thermal fuse, and we're going to go ahead and test that. We know that it's the thermal cutoff fuse is bad, but we want to test everything since we're here. So I just went ahead and removed those wires, and we're going to test it. All right, so our thermal fuse is good. Below our thermal fuse is going to be our cycling thermostat. So let's go ahead and take these 2 wires that are on the outside of it. So on this model, they're red. So I'm just going to move those just out of the way. Let's test that for continuity. Okay, so that's working. Now on our cycling thermostat, we have 2 wires on the center part here that you see. So we're gonna go ahead and test those. To do that, I'm gonna set my setting to the ohms position so you can see it here. And I'm gonna take and place these right inside here just to test it. And we should get a reading of around 7 here. So that's what I'm looking for. So we do. Okay, so the thermal cutoff fuse failed while everything else passed, which tells me that likely our high limit thermostat is really bad too, because it didn't shut things down at 250 degrees like it's supposed to. And so even though it did pass the continuity test, internally there's something wrong at 250 degrees. Because the thermal cutoff fuse said things are getting too hot here, and it blew itself. And if we don't replace both of them, it's just going to happen again. In reality, all we need to replace is this thermal cutoff fuse and the high limit thermostat. However, for purposes of the video, I'm going to go ahead and replace all 5. That way you can see how to do it. Also, when you're ordering these parts, I would recommend going directly from the manufacturer or getting those factory certified parts. Otherwise, you can order a big bundled kit altogether so that comes with everything you'll need to repair these. Just keep that in mind. So first we're going to remove this thermal cutoff fuse and replace it with the new one. Pay attention to this little tab. We want to make sure that we slide that right where it needs to go in that groove. And just for fun, let's go ahead and test this one for continuity. And we have continuity. Hook these wires back. Solid on the bottom. And then striped on top. Next up, we're going to remove our heating element. That's 2 1/4-inch screws on both sides. It slides out like that. This is what it looks like on the back side of it. We have our new heating element. Gonna slide it right in with these tabs underneath. And test this for continuity. It works. Okay, now on the side of this heating element, we have our high limit thermostat. So let's go ahead and install that. There's a little tab here. Make sure that you hook this top hole here. So it's gonna be hooked like that. And then we're gonna take this bottom tab that you see here, and we're just gonna put that right over this far prong. So just like that, ignore the 2 screw holes that you'll see on the outside. So we're not gonna use those. Then we're gonna take our red wire on the top, go ahead and get that connected. And then we're gonna take the orange wire and we're gonna connect it right here. And remember, if you're unsure, you can always reference those pictures that we took in the beginning. Next, we're gonna remove this thermal fuse. So we're gonna go ahead and take the wires out. Go ahead and unscrew. And it has continuity. All right, the last thing we're gonna replace is our cycling thermostat. So let's go ahead and get this removed. Slide it out. Okay, so you see red stripe on the bottom. Go ahead and remove that. All right, and we have this new one. So let's go ahead and slide the first part under. Test for continuity. Okay, good. Check to see that we're getting 7 on these 2 inside prongs. All right, about 7. Then we install the wires. Red stripe the bottom, solid red the top, and then the 2 purple. All right, everything's been replaced. Now for the fun part. All right, let's get her hooked up. Oh, so fresh. Like and subscribe for more videos like this.